Hello, I'm Linda Faulkner, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator with Crafter Inspired, my website, www.crafterinspired.com. Thanks for joining me today. I'm anxious to show you a set of birthday cards I have made using the Birthday Bouquet Designer Series paper from Stampin' Up! And it's something that you could use the same designs with any paper, but I thought it was kind of an interesting way to put it together. It would make a nice gift. Here's the birthday box, and you can open it up and it fits the 4 cards and 4 envelopes. So today I'm going to show you one of those cards. Now we've already put this particular card on the website. I just did a little PDF for this. This is the simplest of the 4. The Celebrate You card. Now the other 2 I will be doing additional videos along with the box, so check out my blog and you'll want to subscribe to my newsletter in order to get all of those videos. The one we're making today is a simple Happy Birthday to You card. It uses an ice cream cone and some embellishments, and it's a tag card. You can make it so the tag can be removed and the recipient of the card can use the tag for a gift or for something else if they'd like. So let's get started. We're going to use a half a sheet of regular cardstock. So if you'll cut a sheet of cardstock in half, you'll get an 8.5 by 5.5 piece, and then you're going to score down the center to end up with 4.25 by 5.5 inch piece of cardstock. And this is going to be our card base. On top of that, we're going to use crumb cake, and this piece is cut 3 3/4 inches by 5.5 inches. So it's going to go all the way to the top and the bottom of the card, but it leaves a little bit of margin of white on each side. And then my next layer for my base, you know, the more layers, the more interesting your card's going to be. This is a sheet of Designer Series paper from Birthday Bouquet. I chose the ice cream cones, 3.5 inches by 5.5 inches. So once you get that put together, you have a card base that looks like this. Now on top of that card base, we're going to add the tags. So let me show you the original. So we're working on this 3-layer tag that's going to go on top. So the first thing you need to cut is a piece of, I use corrugated cardstock, but you can also just use plain regular maybe a craft colored or crumb cake colored cardstock. It's going to be a 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangle. Now I've already cut this, so it's going to come out a little bit longer than that. And then I'm going to use my tag topper punch. It looks like this. And this is a 2-inch opening, but I want 2.5 inch tag. It can still be done. What you're going to do is you're going to slide that in right in the middle. Takes a little bit of working. And then make sure it's centered on the back. And you see how much of that you're going to lose a little bit of your rectangle there. That's why it's cut to those dimensions. So I'm going to snap that out, and you'll end up with a tag that looks just like that. That's the bottom layer of your tag. The next layer of your tag uses a 2 by 3.5 inch rectangle, and I need to curve all 4 corners. My favorite tool to use to do that is an envelope punch board, and it has a little knob and a slot in the back of it to make curves. So you're going to curve that corner. So I'll have 4 rounded corners on this piece. You also can use a corner rounder if you have one of those separate punches. Okay. So I have this 2 by 3.5 inch piece. On top of that, I'm going to take another rectangle, and it's going to be a 2 by 2 3/4 inch. So that 2 by 2 3/4 inch, I'm going to curve just the bottom 2 corners, and then it's going to go on top of my mint macaroon just with tape runner. See how you're building this particular label. The next layer is going to be that little silver line, and that's about 1/8 inch by the width of your tag, which is going to be 2 3/4. So just use a little tape runner. You're going to tape that on top, And then I just used a layer of diamond rhinestones, so a strip of rhinestones on top of that to get the finished look on your layer. Okay. The last thing you need to do is to put a hole through it. I get my crocodile, and I took it apart here, but you get the idea. I'm going to put a hole through the top, and then I have some string, and it's going to be 10 inches. I've doubled it over, and this is white twine. So I've got 20 inches of it cut in half. I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to put the fold from the front to the back through my tag, open it up, and run the ends through the loop. That's all you do. And then you can trim it to whatever length you like. So that's going to go on top. And I have one that's already put together that I can show you here in just a second. So kind of see how that's built. And my last thing I need to do is do some stamping. So let's start stamping. I need to make an ice cream cone. This comes from Honeycomb Happiness stamp set. But this cone is simple enough you could really even just draw it if you wanted to. All you're going to see is the bottom part of it. So ice cream cone, chocolate chip ink, tap, 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 and stamp in the middle. That'll work great. And then I want a little extra dimension on this, so I'm going to tap my dauber in my chocolate chip and just very gently rub it along the edge. And see how it gives it just a little bit of color, a little extra dimension, a little bit of a vintage feel if you would use it on the whole card. I always like that technique. Okay, so I've got my ice cream cone stamped. The next thing I need to stamp is my sentiment, the happy birthday to you. And that's coming from the Sunburst Sayings. And I'll stamp using chocolate chip. I think I used some of the cards you'll see. I think sometimes I use crumb cake. It's a very similar color, but just a little bit lighter. Always look at what you're punching. Pop that one out. And then you're going to need a 1.5 inch circle behind it. And so I've got a little scrap of the mint macaroon green. Can use that there. And then I'll put this together with a pop dot. Stampin' Dimensional, and it's going to look like that. That one's done with crumb cake. It's a little bit lighter ink. The next layer is putting it all together finally. So let's grab our card. And grab our tags. Here's our card. And this is the same tag. I tied a little piece of seam binding and crumb cake on the top of that tag. Cut off my extra white twine. And then I need to add my little embellishment. So these are going to be attached with tape runner, and my extra little sentiment is going to be attached with a pop dot or Stampin' Dimensional. Let me show you. These are the little embellishments. They're available through the end of May, and then they're gone. Honeycomb embellishments, they look like this, and they'll come to you like this. So if I'm going to mail this card, I would put half of it down and then either give the recipient a phone call or put some little instructions in there as to how to open it, because they're going to want to open it after it gets mailed. It would squish it. But they open up beautifully just like that. You just take the extra tape runner off the bottom, both sides. See how that works? All right, so last thing I did was add a little embellishment. I have a arrow, and all of these are going to be pop dotted so you'll have the same dimensions that you see with the original. And here's your arrow card. Let me show you a couple other cards I did using the same technique. This is a Mother's Day card, and instead of using the ice cream cone, I just used the bear stamp, bear hug stamp. You see the tag and the layers, just a little bit of change. And then one more. This is another bear. This is for Father's Day. It uses the bear hug stamp set. Notice I don't have naked envelopes. I did the same thing for this card, and I just used the framelit that goes along with the Stampin' Up! Sized, medium-sized envelopes. So you have a beautiful presentation for your card. If you're interested in more cards like this, please go to my website, www.crafterinspired.com, and I'll give you and have some information there on how to see the rest of the videos. They'll also has the first card PDF file there that you can get. So thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope to be back soon with the rest of the birthday box.